Shravanam Diaries podcast.
Hare Krishna everyone. We're continuing to read the Bhagavad Gita as it is, the book by His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Jai Jai. We're reading chapter 11, the Universal Form, text 24. Nabhasprisham dipam varnam vyatananam dipta vishalanetram drishtva hitvam pravyati tantaratma dritim navindami shamam na Vishnu. O all-pervading Vishnu, seeing you with your many radiant colors, touching the sky, your gaping mouths and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. Text 25. Dhamshtra karalani chame mukhani drishvaiva kalanala sannibhani dishona jane nalabhecha sharma prasida devesha jagannivasa. Sharma means grace, okay, and Divesha means O Lord of all lords, okay. O Lord of lords, O refuge of the world, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance, seeing thus your blazing, death-like faces and awful teeth. In all directions I am bewildered. Now here comes the, as they say, the juicy part. What he has seen and what completely must have been a sight. Text 26 and 27. Amichatvam drishtarashtrasya putra sarve sahaiva vanipala sangaih bhishmo dronah suta putrastathasau sahasmadiyar api yodha mukyaih vaktrani te tvara manavashanti Dhamshtra karalani bhayanakani kechid vilagna dashanantareshu sadrishyante churnitair uttamangai. So, like, before we read this description, let's just establish the sequence, right, again. So Arjuna, he saw all of his relatives and he was like, I can't kill them, I can't do that. And then Krishna, he gave his explanation that he should. And now what Arjuna sees is basically, let's read. All of the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings and Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and our chief soldiers also, are rushing into your fearful mouths, and some I see trapped, with heads smashed between your teeth. That's what he saw. Purport. In a previous verse, the Lord promised to show Arjuna things he would be very interested in seeing. Now, Arjuna sees that the leaders of the opposite party, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and all the sons of Dhritarashtra, and their soldiers, and Arjuna's own soldiers, are all being annihilated. This is an indication that after the death of nearly all the persons assembled at Kurukshetra, Arjuna will emerge victorious. It is also mentioned here that Bhishma, who is supposed to be unconquerable, will also be smashed. So also Karna. Not only will the great warriors of the opposite party, like Bhishma, be smashed, but some of the great warriors of Arjuna's side also. I wonder if Arjuna saw that Abhimanyu, his son, will also be there. I wonder. For me, personally, the story of Abhimanyu is so, heartbreaking. Like really, like imagining this young boy fighting with all the great Maharathas, and they can't defeat him in a fair fight. They have to like jump on him all together, right? And how he's fighting. And I remember in the TV serial Mahabharat, the recent one that I think Star World or Star something, they made a recent remake of the Mahabharata. How they portrayed this fight of Abhimanyu, I was literally crying. It's like, goodness gracious. It's really, yeah. Text 28. Yes.
You didn't record it?
No, I recorded it. I'm recording for tomorrow.
Why don't you record one for tomorrow? Let's read some more.
Ah, okay. Jai, wonderful. Okay then. So, now tomorrow has come and we are reading text number 28. Yatha nadinam bhavam bhuvega samudram evabhi mukha dravanti tatha tavami naraloka vira vishanti viktranyabhivi jvalanti. As the many waves of the rivers flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter, blazing into your mouths. Wow, this also reminds me of that prayer of Queen Kunti, right? That she said that let my mind like a river come into the ocean, like to let the mind think about Krishna just like rivers come into the ocean, right? It's the same analogy as many rivers flow into the ocean. But here, great warriors are entering the blazing mouth of the Lord and they get crushed in the teeth of the Lord. Wow. Hare Krishna. Text 29. Yatha pradiptam jvalanam patanga vishanti nashaya samriddha vegah tathaiva nashaya vishanti lokas tavapi vaktrani samriddha vegah. I see all people rushing full speed into your mouths as moths dash to destruction in a blazing fire. Wow, again another analogy, right? Just like moth into the flame. Actually, the modern poets, they describe material love in that way. Like a moth into the flame, I'm hypnotized and like a... What was that? Like a moth into the flame, I'm hypnotized and like a stone, I'm paralyzed because I can't keep away. You found your way under my skin. Вот это вот всё, да? All of this, right? So, like a moth into the flame. But here, people are rushing for destruction. The opposite party at the Kurukshetra. Let's get back to Bhagavad Gita here. This is at Kurukshetra. They're rushing like a moth into the flame. Wow. I love this. This will be my, what do you call it? Udipana. So that whenever I remember any this analogy, I will remember this particular verse. The people are rushing for their destruction like a moth into the flame. Wow. And interesting, right? Of all the places where they could be destroyed, like Krishna could destroy them with their hands, right? Hands. But no, they're rushing into the mouth of the Lord and they get crushed in the teeth. Wow. Text 30. Lali yase grasa manach samantal lokan samagran vadanair jvalad bhih tejo bhirapurya jagat samagram bhasa stavograha pratapanti Vishnu. O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouths. Covering all the universe with your effulgence, you are manifest with terrible, scorching rays. Okay, I'll explain why it's a mouth. Actually, here, Arjuna, he is seeing the universal form, isn't it? So, in 5th canto, when the universal form is also described, all the different planets are described where they're situated in that universal form. And the mouth of the Lord represents Mars. So the Mars planet is known as it's a fiery planet. It's a planet of warriors and everything. So Mars is Lord Nrisimhadev, right? Of all the Dashavatars, Lord Nrisimhadev, he is like fierce. So for me, it makes perfect sense that they're rushing into the mouth for destruction, right? I mean, that's the logic that I see, that perfect logic. They say that Bhagavad Gita is the ABC, and I mean ABC, yeah, very, very much ABC. Like, I would say that Bhagavad Gita is quite you can write a PhD on Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam is just beyond anything beyond. Then I don't know if there's anything higher than a PhD, but I think that Bhagavatam can be discussed among the professors. If you've already written your PhD on Bhagavad Gita, then for higher studies, you go for Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, okay. So, text 31. Akya himeko bhavan ugrarupo namostu deva vara prasida. Namostu te deva vara prasida. Vigyatum ichchami bhavantam adyam. Nahi prajanami tava pravrittim. O Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. Text 32. Okay, text 32 is Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kalosmi lokakshaya krit pravridho lokan samahartum iha pravrittaha rite pitvam na bhavishyanti sarve yevasthitaha pratyanikeshu yodha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Time I am. Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Purport. Although Arjuna knew that Krishna was his friend and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was puzzled by the various forms exhibited by Krishna. Therefore, he asked further about the actual mission of this devastating force. It is written in the Vedas that the Supreme Truth destroys everything, even the Brahmanas, as stated in the Katha Upanishad 1.2.25. Yasya brahma cha kshatram cha ubhe bhavata odanaha mrityur yasyopase chanam ka ittha vedayatra saha. Eventually, all the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and everyone else are devoured like a meal by the Supreme. Wow. This form of the Supreme Lord is like the all-devouring giant. And here Krishna presents himself in that form of all-devouring time. Except for a few Pandavas, everyone who was present on that battlefield would be devoured by him. Arjuna was not in favor of the fight, and he thought it was better not to fight, then there would be no frustration. In reply, the Lord is saying that even if he did not fight, every one of them would be destroyed, for that was his plan. That was Krishna's plan. If Arjuna stopped fighting, they would die in another way. Death could not be checked even if he did not fight. In fact, they were already dead. Time is destruction, and all manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. That is the law of nature. Now, I could say that, Rake Krishna Mare Ke, Mare Krishna Rake Ke, and end the episode. But I think it would be too creepy, considering that today is Shanivar, Saturday. So, I'll read the next verse as well, because the next verse reveals that it was Krishna's plan, and Arjuna was supposed to play a certain role, right? So text 33. Tasmat tvam utishta yasho labhasva. Utishta, right? Jitva shatrun bhun kshva rajyan samridham mayaevaite nihataha purvam eva nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Right? Nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Right? Savyasachi is what? Ambidextrous. Meaning he can fight with right hand, he can fight with the left hand also. Therefore, get up. Prepare to fight and win glory. Right? Now, if we read the previous verse where Krishna says, time I am, all the soldiers will be slain, then we have to also read the next verse. We can't just take the previous verse out of context. That's what I've seen. In Russia, they had the court case against Bhagavad Gita, and they lost it, thank God. But I visited one website of one Orthodox anti-Hare Krishna movement. I was very small at that time. I was living in Russia at that time. And they took a picture of Nrisimhadev, and they said, this is what the Lord, their God, does to their devotees. And they took this verse out of context of Bhagavad Gita that Krishna says, I destroy everyone. They're worshipping Satan. So what? So that's why you have to see things in context. So here, Krishna says, let's read the verse, the translation, and focus. Therefore, get up. Prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. So, those of us who have done Bhakti Shastri, so basically I was saying that, Bhakti Shastri is when I was saying that Bhagavad Gita is a PhD, technically Srila Prabhupada said that Bhakti Shastri, then Bhakti Vedanta, then Bhakti Vaibhava, and then Bhakti Sarvabhauma, right? So, yes, but Bhakti Shastri level should not be underestimated, I feel. I think it's highly underestimated. But, Shastri is supposedly a high level of knowledge if you really know the books, not just to get a degree, So, to know Bhagavad Gita through and through, to know Nectar of Devotion through and through, to know Nectar of Instruction and Ishopanishad through and through, that requires to actually be Bhakti Shastri. Actually, in one quote, I remember very clearly, Srila Prabhupada said that for preaching purposes, these 4 books are enough. Can you imagine? For preaching purposes, they're enough. Just know Bhagavad Gita, you can preach. Sounds nice? Okay. So here, be an instrument in the fight. In the Bhakti Shastri, this Nimitta Matram, you have to memorize it, and this question comes in the exam. Nimitta Matram. You have to be an instrument, and that's what we're trying to be. And I will be addressing this point in today's Q&A, actually. Yeah, so stay tuned. Purport. Savyasachin refers to one who can shoot arrows very expertly in the field. Thus, Arjuna is addressed as an expert warrior, capable of delivering arrows to kill his enemies. In quotes, just become an instrument. Nimitta matram. This word is also very significant. The whole world is moving according to the plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Can you believe it? Let's read it again. The whole world is moving according to the plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Foolish persons who do not have sufficient knowledge think that nature is moving without a plan, and all manifestations are but accidental formations. So they say that if you become a detective, you have to understand that there are no accidents. But I think that you don't have to be a detective working for police in order to realize that there are no accidents. We have to be a devotee to realize that there are no accidents, right? There are many so-called scientists who suggest that perhaps it was like this or maybe like that, but there is no questions of perhaps and maybe. There is a specific plan being carried out in this material world. What is this plan? This cosmic manifestation is a chance for the conditioned souls to go back to Godhead, back to home. As long as they have the domineering mentality, which makes them try to lord it over material nature, they are conditioned. They're conditioned. But anyone who can understand the plan of the Supreme Lord and cultivate Krishna consciousness is most intelligent. Wow. So understanding the plan of the Lord and cultivating Krishna consciousness, that's most intelligent. If anybody asks you what is most intelligent, don't say that most intelligent is like, I don't know what people will say, what is their definition, but our definition is understanding the plan of the Lord, not saying that why did Krishna do this, but the understanding, okay, it's a plan, it's Krishna's plan, everything's under control, right? Not my control, but it's under his control. And then cultivating Krishna consciousness. The creation and destruction of the cosmic manifestation are under the superior guidance of the Lord, of God. Superior guidance of God. Thus, the battle of Kurukshetra was fought according to the plan of God. Arjuna was refusing to fight, but he was told that he should fight in accordance with the desire of the Supreme Lord. Then he would be happy. If one is in full Krishna consciousness and his life is devoted to the Lord's transcendental service, he is perfect. Wow. For those of us who are perfectionists, here it is. Definition of perfection is being in full Krishna consciousness and life devoted to the Lord's transcendental service. So Nimitta Matram. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The book links, previous episodes timeline, and biography of the author can be found on shravanamdiaries.com. The link is in the description, and we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.